Hi, I'm Lise Colucci, and I'm one of the life coaches at Queen Being. If you have anything that you need regarding narcissism or a narcissist in your life, any questions or help or information, head over to queenbeing.com, where there's tons of information and lots of resources for support. So head over there if you need it. There's a description in every video as well if you need coaching or group coaching. Both of those are available. There's also a video, a couple of videos back that describes the group coaching a little bit and people's experience there. So check it out if you need it. Otherwise, hit subscribe, because today we're going to start and talk about closure. People often are desperate for closure. They're desperate for the need to feel some relief from the discard, from the relationship itself, from just dealing with a narcissist, from ending any relationship, right? You feel the need for closure, and you feel the need to sort of be able to let go. And it's really hard to let go when you don't get that closure. And as we know, with a narcissist, you don't get any closure. You are, in fact, getting the opposite of closure, where they will go give you silent treatment. They'll smear you. They'll gaslight you. They will project onto you. They'll tell you that everything was your fault in the relationship, or they'll play the victim. They will act like they're the ones who were so hurt in this relationship. They will attack. There's all kinds of things they do, none of which give closure. There is no discussion that's like, hey, we need to end this relationship. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what happened. Let's part ways. Let's just end things. None of that. Not even a yelling match that makes sense. Not even a like, and blowing up and then like ending things like, I hate you too. None of that, right? It's awful trying to leave and feel. When you're with a narcissistic person or anyone that's in a toxic relationship, your voice, your ability to speak your mind, your ability to say what you feel, your ability to feel like your emotions matter, like your feelings matter, like your side of the story matters, all of that is gone. You're silenced. You're silenced by the toxic manipulation, by the projecting, by the gaslighting. You're shut down and you're silenced. And so you can't get closure. You can't feel like you have any say in your own life, in your own experience of ending this relationship and of moving on. And it's really hard to move on. Okay. So I get it. A lot of people feel the need to break no contact, talk to that narcissistic person, talk to that toxic person, and end things feeling like they stood up for themselves, like they got the upper hand, or they at least stood up and they said something to the narcissist, and they feel like that will give them closure. Or they may feel like, all kinds of, let's just say there's all kinds of things you might feel and all kinds of ways you might want to try and reach that narcissist, that toxic person, and get the closure that you need from the relationship. I'm here to say, it is a very small percent of people that actually get that, okay? It's unfortunate, and it's painful, and it is a frustrating thing for so many of us that you never get the closure. And, even when you do things like try and maybe you contact them, you break no contact, you say, hey, you formulate an amazing letter or an email or a text or whatever, because you can't actually talk in person because they don't do that, right? And you say you've written this all out and it's very heartfelt and well thought, and maybe it's like coming from a really deep and emotional place and it's really real to you. They're going to take that and walk all over it. They're going to tear it up. They're going to tear you down. They're going to dismiss you. They're going to call you crazy, call you obsessed, whatever it is, to eliminate that closure that you're getting. So resist the urge. It's not going to fix things. It's very, very, very small percent of people that actually get the closure that they need. And it's usually when they do, it comes in a form that they didn't expect it to. So let's talk. First of all, hello, everybody. Hello, Stella and Riri TV. And who else is here? 3 a.m. Echo. Hello. And hi. And if you guys, I'm just going to talk about the closure. And so if y'all in chat have any questions about your own life, about something going on totally unrelated to, as long as it's related to recovery from what you've been through with a narcissist or a toxic person, go ahead and put questions in there, and I will try and come back and read after I do this. So I'm just going to talk about closure, and then we'll come back. So I'm just doing it a little more topic oriented because I haven't live streamed in a long time. Hello, welcome back. I'm going to try and do these a lot when I can. I have with the COVID life and the kids around all the time, it's a little tricky. So we'll get it. Okay. But they're going to be shorter. So I'm going to do shorter and more often and try and reach out. So come back with your questions, come back with your whatever you need. Okay. And it doesn't have to stick on topic, just as long as it's something within the scope of what we do here. Okay. So back to closure. Okay. I have some stuff written down. So I'm going to read some stuff and then I'm going to talk about it. So number one, to get closure, let go of the expectation that you have of the closure. Try to view it that it's your expectation of what you think you need, and it likely is what you would benefit from. You would be able to move in a different direction if you could. Oops, sorry, bumped the microphone. If you could get that closure, right? But let go of the expectation that it's going to happen. Let it go. It's an unrealistic expectation you're putting on yourself that's causing pressure and making it harder to move forward with healing. If you get it, then if you get the closure, then we can all cheer you on and be super happy that you got it. But the chances of it are slim. Let go of the expectation because you're not dealing with someone that's healthy in relationship. As I say over and over, a narcissist cannot be in a relationship because they cannot relate. They can be in a situation where they are taking supply from another person, taking attention, taking, all they take from us, but they can't relate. Okay, so you're asking for something that's very relationship oriented and very mature and very emotionally mature. And it takes emotional intelligence to be able to give another person closure. Think about it just from right there. Let go of the expectation, know who you're dealing with. Okay. Understand that very few get closure, but we heal. Okay. We find other ways to seal that need, to fill that feeling of agitation and of frustration when you can't get it. And we get what feels like a different form of closure. Okay. So let's talk about understanding why we can't get closure from a narcissist, because I think understanding that can help you let go of the expectation. And then you can try to find your own path to healing that doesn't involve a toxic person. So here's one thing. When you are asking for closure from a narcissist, you're asking for that person who never was good in relationship, who never was there for you, who never gave you what you needed emotionally, who can't take accountability. You're asking for that to be the source of your own healing. You're not going to get it. It's not realistic. It's not what they are capable of. So why won't a narcissist give you closure? Okay. Do you have anything to say? Add it to the chat and I will try and read. Like I said, it's been a while, so my going back and forth skills are a little rusty, but how do you know it's the final discard? I call the narcissist I'm going to take one interruption here and say, because it's totally related to closure. The final discard is when you stop replying, when you go no contact. There's never a final discard. A hoover can be 25 years later. Okay. They don't let go in the same way that people do when they let go and move on. They maintain the feeling of ownership and control and power over you, even if it's just a threat of it. For you, it feels huge. For them, it might just be a threat of it. And they can pull you back in at any time with that little hook. So it's when you choose to let go. That's when you know it's the final discard. Okay. Let's understand why they won't give you closure. So number one, they need to believe a delusion. They need to believe whatever it is they put out there that ended it. You're awful. You're rude. You're this, you're that. Whatever they're accusing you of, they need to believe that. They need to believe it because they can't be accountable. All right. So they need to believe that delusion is the truth of everything. So that then when they lie to the new supply, when they lie to other people about you, when they smear you, whatever they're going to do, they can just, that's how they do it so quickly and easily. We often ask, how can they lie right to people's faces? How can they tell these untruths? Because they convince themselves through believing the delusion, through not taking accountability, that it's all real. Okay. And they know, I think most of them know that they're doing it, but it's such a fast mechanism in them because they don't have any empathy and they don't take accountability that they just immediately, it's like a go to, right? Okay. So they need to believe the delusion. They can't be accountable. We kind of just talked about that. They cannot be accountable. Have they ever truly accountable in the relationship you were in with them? Chances are, if it's any percent, it's like 3. Okay, and it's usually things that are really easy to be accountable to if they do it. Most of them, most toxic people, whatever form they take, do not have accountability toward other people. Why is that? Because a narcissist doesn't have empathy. They do not care about anyone but themselves. They do not care about anyone's position except their own, and they only care about the delusion that they're putting out there, the mask that they're wearing, right? So they're not going to be accountable. Why would they, right? Okay, so they don't have a sense of object permanence. When you are out of sight, you are out of mind. When you are, unless it's to say, yeah, back there, I own that one too. You know, it's like taking the things that they no longer see as shiny, sticking them over there. They still their stuff, but then they're going to go forward and do other things. So they don't have a need for closure. They just don't have a need for it because they just move forward. They push it all behind, put the ego out in front, plaster on a new mask for the next person and move on. Well, I said they only, let's see, they don't let go of what they own. They, like we're talking about, they don't let go because they need the attention back. Okay. They need what I call a crack in the door. So the door, instead of the door being slammed shut, where you go, like I was saying to Stella, go no contact, that's when it's over. When you slam that door and you turn around and lock the door, turn around and walk away and pretend, and not pretend, but you know that door's there, but you never acknowledge it again. And you stay no contact. And when they try and hoover, you block it. It's annoying. It triggers you. You know, they may call from different numbers, all that other stuff, but you ignore it. That's closing the door. When you leave a crack in the door, I need closure. Please just talk to me. Let's have this one last conversation. It's a way for them to get back in. So they need that there. They don't want to give you closure because if they did, you'd be over it. And if you're over it, they're not getting supply. Just knowing that there are people out in this world thinking about them, pining away from them, hurt by them, missing them, all of that gives them supply. So they need that. They keep that crack in the door. They keep it open just enough, both so they can hoover and so that it's like a funnel of supply back to them. So let's see. Well, supply. So this is all, I'm just kind of leading to the next thing probably because I wrote it. But anyway, they acted like I didn't exist. Yep. And see, when they're pushing you, Stella is talking here, when they're pushing you to pay attention to them and they're ignoring you, can you see how that is an opening for them to slip in, even though it feels like they're closing a door on you? They're actually holding it wide open saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Yeah, you've got to be the one to step out. I'm sorry, you've got to be the one to step out. I'm sorry, that is really the only way. If they're a chronic hoover discard person, some of them are more love bomb devalue types. Some of them are chronic, highly avoidant, push pull, open the door, slam the door types. And you've got to be the one to break the cycle. And closure, like we're talking about here, isn't going to look the same as it would in a healthy relationship, or like you see on TV, or like it's not going to look like that. So, okay. So other reasons that why they don't allow closure, why they don't have closure or do closure is, well, they fear losing the supply. They need your attention. They need your attention, whether it's good or bad. It's not about love. It's about attention. Okay. When they say love, what they mean is you give me attention. So another reason. So Another reason, punishment. Many, many, many toxic people are highly punitive and they like to punish. They like to set you up and then knock you down and then punish you. So it's punishment for you. They're punishing you, not because you did anything wrong, not because you deserve it, because that's what they do. Okay. Another reason a narcissist will not give closure is power and control. Power and control. I mean, you can see how this all leads to power and control. There is so much power knowing someone is desperate to talk to you. Think about it. Think about it. If you, the reason we get anxious, like say we're out and we forget to text someone we're late, and we feel anxious, like, oh my gosh, I forgot to check in. It's not necessary, and it's a good relationship. You know, you should check in. Just, I'm safe, I'm cool, I'm just late. Okay. And when we feel anxious, we feel that feeling in a narcissist, when they have that feeling, oh, I didn't check in, they do it on purpose. And instead of anxiety of like, oh man, I just made someone worry about me. Oh no, they're like, yes, someone's worrying about me. Oh yeah, they want me to text. Who cares what they want? But they're getting supply from that, you see, and they're getting control, and they can control your thinking about them even when you're gone by not giving you closure. So they can end a relationship, walk away, knowing that you're in your head, you're still in a relationship with them. And that is power, right? So the way to take your voice back and the way to take your power back is to shut them out, to extinguish the supply. So you like turn down the pilot light till it goes out, and you just don't contact. So, okay. Another thing that they may be doing is that when they smear you, some of them will, when they're smearing you to new supply, when they're smearing you to your friends, to their friends, whoever, they need the description of what's going on to fit the smear. Does that make sense? They need, how did I word it here? They need the smear to fit the new narrative. So when they notoriously, when they discard someone and then they move on to someone else, or they go to their friends and they talk about it, they create a new narrative, they create a new dialogue, a new scene, a new mask, right? They create this, and they need the narrative to fit it. They need the dialogue that goes around what they're creating, their new delusion. She was crazy. He was abusive. She, everyone, he turned on me. He abandoned me. She was always so jealous. They need that to fit. And so if they give you real closure and talk about it and go, you know what, I really do see where I was not great in this relationship. What do you need from me to end? Like, how would that fit that? It wouldn't. They can't talk to you because they've already deemed you crazy. They've already labeled you and they're already smearing you. Does that make sense? Goober. Hi, Goober. I have to admit that even after almost a year of no contact and not getting closure I wanted, sometimes I still feel disgusted and angry at everything my ex did to me. And that is different. Okay, so what you're describing there sounds like to me, I'm not telling you what you feel, but what you're describing there is processing the grief of the relationship. Okay, let me come back to that. Remind me, talk if you can, please talk more about processing grief after the trauma bonds end, because it's kind of goes with this and it's kind of important. But I want to finish this because I'll lose my train of thought. So, okay. I can't read my writing here. Sometimes the pity ploy type, the vulnerable narcissist, the ones that shrivel and act pathetic and don't necessarily go seeking new supply, but they act very, it's so hard, that those types, they will act like they want closure. In fact, they may even ask for it. What that is it's a hoover. They're trying to get you back in. So they don't want closure. They want to re-up the cycle and re-enter the relationship and re-abuse you, re-traumatize you. They want to recreate what they had there. It's just a hoover back in. So if you believe you are dealing with a toxic person and you're dealing, especially if you believe you're dealing with a narcissist, don't trust it if they say they want closure. Don't trust it. At that point, the closure is, that's great. Bye. No contact, block, right? Don't feed it. Yeah, don't feed into it. It's exactly it. Hey, Jack. Let's see. So how? Okay. So there is a brief summary of why they don't allow closure, or some of the reasons why. There's probably a whole lot of more reasons that I didn't come up with in the time that I wrote all that. So that's some of the reasons why they don't allow it. They don't do it, whatever. So how do you deal with that? What do you do? Number one, say it over and over again, no contact. And I'm sorry, I know no one wants to hear that. I know that that is the last thing many people want to hear. There are people who are like, great, yay, no contact, bye. But for a lot of people, that's the thing. And when I sit in group coaching in particular, that's the thing I say over and over and over and over and over and over again to people. And I'm happy to do it because it's the one method that we all agree on works to help you heal. And it's also something that has to be said in so many different scenarios and settings and descriptions with certain validations that really helps a person understand that that is sadly sometimes the only path. It isn't sadly in the big picture, but in the moment, I understand that it's difficult. It's not what you want to hear. I've even had people in group say, I really didn't like you when you said that every day. And I'm laughing because, yeah, I know, I'm sorry, but I'm telling you what works and what, not because I want to be vicious and attack the narcissist, because I want each person to find their own path to freedom outside of it. Okay. And it is what works. And if you can't go no contact, excuse me, if you have children together or whatever, then low contact is the best. Low contact meaning need to know information only as it pertains to the topic that is the reason you need to have contact. Children, a job, business together, financial stuff, whatever it is you need to talk about, that's it. The subject is narrow, it's quick, it's brief, and that's it. To the point. That's low contact to me. And those situations are really how you begin getting closure. Okay, so understanding, here, I'm going to say it. You need to understand and accept what they are. You need to understand that you have been dealing with a person with no empathy and what that really means. And there's lots of videos out there and there's lots of ways to understand it, but really it's sometimes it's hearing it in a lot of different sources. Sometimes it's time, whatever it is, you've got to come to the realization and acceptance. It's somebody in the beginning of chat here said radical acceptance. It was 3 a.m. echo. Yeah. And that's it. It's radically accepting who that person is, what the situation was, what you were dealing with. I think being abused should help with closure. How so? Tell me what you think there. So acceptance comes from understanding. And from what I've seen and from what I've experienced, the more you understand about the person without trying. So some of us who have a lot of empathy, we think, I don't get it. How could someone do that? How could they be that way? How is that even possible? So take that empathy and try and empathize with them as they are, not as you are. Does that make sense? Empathize. If you're empathizing with, I don't know, a baby rabbit, you're not going to empathize with the baby rabbit putting human traits onto that rabbit. You're going to see, whoops, I'm sorry. You're going to see that it has a rabbit life and it has rabbit feelings and rabbit, comings and goings and doings. And you're going to empathize with that rabbit as the rabbit is. You're going to give that rabbit the respect of being a rabbit. And you're going to try and give your empathy to the situation around it. Oh my gosh, there's litter everywhere. I should clean up so the rabbit has a clean home. That makes sense, right? What we do instead is we project our empathy onto them as if they're a person who should have it because they're human and they should, right? But it's accepting that they literally don't. They don't have it. And so then relating to them means I'm relating to them as they are. Does that make sense? That's how I find acceptance. So relate to them as they are, accept who they are, understand all these reasons that they won't give you closure, and that how talking to them and trying to get closure actually feeds them. It actually feeds this, giving them supply. All right. So another coping skill is journaling. Write your stuff out. Have a closure journal, whatever you need to do. Keep it separate. Keep it sacred for you. It is for you. The closure you need is for you. It isn't about them anymore. Ending a relationship with a toxic person is a literal cutoff. It isn't a back and forth discussion, finding some resolution. There's no resolution. How do you have resolution with someone who doesn't care? You can't, because you care. So, all right. So journaling, talk to someone, book a coaching session, book a therapy session or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you need to do. Try the group coaching, do something where if you're really struggling with it, a lot of times it's validation you need. And the way to get validation is through people who've been there, who know how to help talk you through what you're feeling and be present to you, through having that undivided attention of someone listening to you and relating to you and giving you feedback. But I have more people than not talk to me just for the validation. And what they say is, okay, so it's a relief to know I'm not the only one. It's a relief to know that what I'm feeling was real. So find someone to talk to that, number one, is knowledgeable in narcissistic abuse, is knowledgeable in trauma, is able to active listen and to be there for you. Take your time to find a person that works for you. And there are plenty of resources out there for that. We offer it at Queen Being. There's other places as well. So whatever you need, get that validation through that. You can also get it through, larger support groups online. It's a little different in a larger group because it's awesome because you have so many people, but it's a different experience than actually speaking it out. Some people need to speak it out. They need to hear their voice, because some people feel like they don't have a voice anymore. They need to hear their voice, say it, and have another human witness it and listen. So there's that. Of course, it's going to make noise. What are we saying here? I couldn't take any more discards being called names and lied to consistently. So how are you going to, what are you going to do? Let's see. Those are the main things that I thought of as a way to get started for finding closure. Closure is ending things. It is a finality, right? So picture the closure as the no contact for you. Then grieve. We'll come back to what somebody with Goober here was saying about it right now. So once you have ended it, gone no contact, it's not like you go no contact and you're like, oh, I have closure. No, it's not like that. This is an unfortunately long process. This is a narcissist has permeated, or a toxic person has permeated and seeped all over. Somebody said the other day to me, I feel like I'm full of poison. And it's literally what it feels like. It's like, or other people say it's like there's little roots going all over, attaching to all parts of me. So it's not like a magical poof, I have closure and everything's better. And let me tell you, even if you got an ounce of closure through a discussion with them, it wouldn't be poof, it's all better. Because they have affected so much of your life. They've infected so much of your life. So be patient. Be patient with yourself. Take the time that it takes. And this is another place to have acceptance of self, that I'm going through something that is hard. And I'm going through something that is not going to be simple or fast, or it's going to take the time it takes. And I'm going to be patient with myself like I would anybody else that I was compassionate for. Have some compassion for yourself, some patience with yourself. I know it hurts, and I know nobody wants to feel any of that. And I also know you have to feel it to move through it. So back to what you were saying here, which was after a year of no contact, you're not getting closure you wanted. and you feel disgusted and angry at everything my ex did to me. Those are legitimate things to be disgusted and angry about. So find ways to process the anger. Find ways to process the disgust. Don't turn it on yourself. Do your best to catch yourself when you spiral into negative self-talk and stop it. Point the blame back where it belongs. Hand it back to that abuser in your head. And find ways to process that anger and realize that you have let go. And now it's time to feel the weight of this anger, the weight of this disgust, and find ways to, again, it comes back to acceptance. If you can accept what they are and how they behave, it starts to make sense. It doesn't make it feel good, but it starts to make sense. Does that make sense? Like you can then kind of let it go a little bit until one day you're like, you know what? Who cares about them? It's awful that I had that abuse, excuse me, but who cares about them? Does that, it's the need to get back at them, the need to hate them and all of that. The aim is to make them insignificant. An insignificant narcissist, an insignificant toxic person is a powerless one. So if you can think of it like that, sometimes that can help. And again, sometimes when you're feeling stuck, so what happens a lot of times is people they're trauma bonded, and then they go through, they get over that, and then they go into this grief stage. And then sometimes after that, they start to feel stuck in one place or another with the healing, if that makes sense. It makes sense if you've been there, right? And that's kind of what I'm hearing here in your one little paragraph. I don't know. I'm assuming. I don't know you. Maybe I'm wrong. But if that's the case and you are feeling stuck, that's when talking to someone about that piece, not projecting it back or not like throwing it back onto the he did this, she did that, whatever, whatever gender they are. But really dealing with your ability to cope with your anger, your feelings about yourself in the situation. It can help give you different perspective. All right. You definitely feel the sense of being poisoned too. Yes. And imagine so here's the thing with the poison part. If you had a little vial of poison, and you're like, oh, I feel so sick. And then you see another little vial of poison. You're like, I think I'll just have a little more. That's what you're doing every time you have contact with them. It is literally re-traumatizing you to be exposed to the thing that traumatized you. So it's creating more of that feeling. So that's why the no contact. And I'll just say it again, no contact. And that's what creates the closure. Okay. So that's what I got for today. Did I miss a question? If I did, you could re-ask it. I'm going to go back and check. I don't think so. I think you guys have all been sitting and listening. Is there anything else that you guys have questions about or you want to talk about today before I end? Otherwise, I'm going to head out. Let's see. I think we're good. We good? Okay. All right. If you need any help, you know where to find me. I will be back here. So if you text 33222 and put Lise Live, LISE, one word, I will send a text 15 minutes, hopefully, within right before I come on live, similar to Angie does it. And so that's how you can know when I'm here. And I will try and be back much more frequently than once a year, but hopefully a couple times a week. I'm aiming for 5 at some point, but we'll see. We'll have to see how the having privacy and quiet situation goes in this little space where I'm live streaming. Okay, for right now with our lifestyle as it is. Let's see. Anything else? Okay, you guys, you take care, and I will be back later, and see you later. Bye-bye.